So let's expound on this topic of emotional intelligence. I posted a short talking about how my 3-year-old son demonstrated a greater level of emotional skills than I did at 28 years old. How is that even possible? How can a 3-year-old be more emotionally aware than a 28-year-old? Well, the thing that we have to understand is that even though people grow in stature, and we grow from a toddler to a child to adolescent to teenager to an adult, we may grow in stature. We don't necessarily grow in our intellectual skill or our emotional skill set unless you are developing a skill. Just as if you play sports, you have to develop the skill in which you're playing. I played wide receiver in college, and unless I practice and develop that skill set, I wouldn't necessarily grow. Emotional intelligence is no different, or in anything you do. Even as a practitioner of physical therapy, if I don't practice my manual therapy skill, I will not get better. Well, the thing about 28 years old, never being introduced to emotional intelligence skill set, not even understanding it, never even hearing of it, how could I have developed my skill? But because I was a person that suffered from the consequences of not being able to know what I'm feeling, not being able to regulate what I'm feeling, not being aware of what other people are feeling, I wanted to make sure that my children are equipped with a mindset, with a skill set as early as possible. So what did I do? I started implementing skills very, very early in their lives. And here's the thing, it's not too late. Even if your kids are 10 and 15, it's not too late to start having that conversation and beginning to create a vocabulary. And I would say that's number one. Create a vocabulary. Help your children understand what are they feeling. Just like your A, B, C's, and D's are the fundamentals to beginning to understand words and beginning to create sentences. You have to think about emotional intelligence in the exact same way. It's a skill set. So you have to start with the fundamentals, understanding the basic emotions of I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling mad or angry, I'm feeling happy. Those emotional foundational emotions, and then building on top of it, because there's different degrees to every one. Sad could be disappointed as well, or mad or angry could also be irritable, could also be annoyed. I was talking to my daughter earlier and she brought something. She said, "Hey dad, Caleb keeps saying the same thing. He'll say, well, I don't like you doing that." But then he'll say, well, I like when you're doing it, but then I don't like when you're doing that. I say, well, Kenzo, how does that make you feel? She said, well, it makes me feel mad. I say, well, really mad? What is it annoying you that he continues to say the same thing over and over? She said, yes. This is me beginning to take the one word that they have and develop it more, going to a different degree of that word, understanding a different word outside of just that one word, mad. That's me expounding. I'm increasing that vocabulary. That's exactly what I'm doing. So you can start doing that. Number one, increase your child's vocabulary. Start increasing their vocabulary. Here's the second thing. You have to start using the vocabulary. You can learn all the Spanish words you want, but if you never use it, then you'll never learn how to speak in Spanish. And that's something that I know personally, because I got a whole folder, notebook filled with Spanish words that people have given me over the years that I've recorded. And when I was using them, I was getting better at it. But the moment I stopped using them and stopped practicing them, guess what? It becomes harder to retrieve it. Emotional intelligence is no different. If you are using these words and you're reflecting personally and saying, man, how do I feel right now? I feel upset. I feel disappointed. I feel overwhelmed. I feel stressed. If you're using them, then you begin to use them to a point where it's an unconscious thing. Initially it takes a lot of conscious awareness to go and retrieve and think through these words and what are you feeling. You got to use a reference wheel, emotional wheel sometimes, or an emotional list. That's where you start. But then eventually, as you use it over and over and over again, the learning, the skill set, it grows from a place of conscious awareness to kind of an unconscious awareness. You begin to do the thing without thinking of it. And you become so familiar with the emotion and a word that's attached to it, then the moment you're feeling it, that you have the ability to express it. And that's the key, having the ability to express what you're feeling. Because when you don't express it, it's bottled up. And bottled up emotions are never good. Bottled up emotions tend to have an explosive reaction. When you bottle things up and you just never communicate what you're feeling, then those emotions begin to take a toll on your body, number one. And it's always a detrimental effect. but sometimes it can be a detrimental effect not only to you but also to the other person if you explode out on them. So number one, you need to help them develop a vocabulary. Number two, helping them use a vocabulary, helping them understand how to express it. But here's number three, you have to prompt it. As a parent, you have to prompt it. You have to facilitate it, because they may not be aware enough to begin to consciously look at a reference list and identify things from emotional wheel. Or one thing that's really great for kids are is having pictures of faces with words attached to it. That way they can visually see it. But you have to prompt these things. You have to create a learning environment when you're reading books. Read books on emotions. I love, man, there are some powerful books I have that I read to my kids regularly on emotions. And sometimes we'll read the Minnie Mouse and different things, but we always come back to some of the emotional books because this is a skill I want them to understand. So you have to prompt it. If you're sitting down at the dinner table and something happens and you observe that someone is having strong emotions, ask a question. Hey, son. Hey, daughter. Hey, mommy. What are you feeling? And one of the powerful things is when I can ask my wife, hey, baby, what are you feeling? In front of my children, and give her opportunity to retrieve that emotion that she's feeling, express that emotion. Guess what? It sets a very powerful example, guys. So, hey, these are three things I want you to take, integrate in your life, and begin to grow your family's emotional intelligence to the next level. Guys, it was great connecting with you. Go and subscribe to W.A.R, Winning Against Resistance. Hey, we're about growth. We're about changing families. We're about equipping the individual so we can fortify the family and shift the culture. Go subscribe, follow. Talk to you soon.